Hello everyone and welcome back to YCS London. I'm Matthew Bell. I'm joined by Oliver Gurman, but he's currently missing in action. He'll be back as soon as possible. Our next feature match for today, round 2, is going to feature Sam Hill versus Jake Quinsee. Jake Quinsee is a name that you're probably quite familiar with. He's been very, very successful in the past. Here's Oliver. Welcome back.
We got everything, right?
We're live. As a heads up. Just before you say anything crazy. Oliver, everybody. Yeah, so Jake is a person that you're probably very familiar with if you've read the written coverage before. He's been very, very successful. I've had the pleasure of watching him play. His reads on cards is incredible.
Yes, he does know what the opponent is holding on to. Without the opponent, well, you would think he's not giving away anything, and Jake is like, well, I can see right through you. He's also playing other games where this is working in his favor, so you can tell he's training this particular skill that he has.
Oh yeah, you can see it when he decides whether or not his opponent's opened their combo. He was telling me he was sat in a local tournament and a player just sort of just put his tongue out his mouth and started doing some math, and Jake's like, okay, yeah, he's going to go for this. I'm just going to max C now, and the guy goes, oh. Okay.
Well, interesting enough, while I was away, I was just talking to Sam.
Oh, yeah?
And, well, he's also from the UK. I just confirmed that. And he's playing Madolche because he has been playing it since it came out. And it's his favorite deck.
Okay.
And he likes the fast pace of the deck.
Yeah, it can do some pretty crazy combos. I mean, even in the World Championship, the Dragon Duel division, the finals featured a Madolche deck from the South American player. Forgive me, I'm forgetting his name now, but it'll turn up at some point. And he was excellent. He was actually such a wonderful kid as well.
Right.
So happy to just be there.
Well, I think one of the obvious answers, I mean, I think there are several. One of the obvious answers to what is the best card in your deck would be Tiramisu.
Yeah, the non-targeting shuffle away, very, very powerful against a huge range of decks.
Yes. But he said he's not sure. It's either Tiramisu or Hoot Cake.
Hoot Cake does start all your combos going when you get it off with the Madolche Angeli. You can start to steamroll and get through your combo very, very quickly.
Yes.
The question is these combos better against Jake's deck, who is playing Burning Abyss? He's not really breaking the mold here. He's following a couple of trends. He's got a couple of tech options here. He's playing 2 main deck Vanity's Fiend, which is going to be very powerful at shutting down Madolche, Angeli, and even Hoot Cake is...
basically all the combos that he has in his deck.
Yeah, and there's no monster in that deck that's going to be able to attack over the Vanity's Fiend, so there's going to have to be... Sam is playing free breakthrough skill, so he's going to have to turn off the Vanity's Fiend and then combo.
Okay. So breakthrough skill, one of the format-defining cards in Madrid, definitely. Yep. Yeah. And we're going to see that again this weekend. You can get double use out of the card. In case you don't know the card, it's basically like Effect Veiler, which you can use whenever you want. Just you have to set it first, like every trap card.
Yeah.
And then you can get a second use, second activation out of it on your own turn. You just have to banish it from your graveyard.
Yeah, and it turns off these really, really horrible monsters that have continuous effects that will stop you playing your strategy, making it very good against Majesty's Fiend, very, very good against Vanity's Fiend in this matchup. You can even use it against Shooting Quasar Dragon to stop that thing hitting you. I do apologize for the LC5 openings if it was a little bit bumbly. It's one of those things where you open a Portuguese part and go, yeah, I know all of this stuff, and you go, wow, there's a whole bunch of stuff I don't quite remember right offhand here.
Yeah, well, you're like, I know what this card does, and well, I can see how much attack it has, but like the details, it's a little bit harder.
Yeah.
But it must be fun to open Portuguese cards.
Oh yeah, in the office we get all the different European languages stuff. It actually makes it quite hard to check the text.
Yeah.
When you're like, is that right?
Well, the interesting thing is, since I'm working in translations, we get feedback from Japan, and our Japanese contact is pointing out mistakes in the German cards, which is just because you're so used to reading that, you just read over the card. You're like, yeah, that makes sense, and then they say something like, hey, I think you missed special summon in this translation, and you're like, oh yes, you're right. I mean, of course you see it. Like when you see the card in front of you, bring back something from your graveyard, you think...
Yeah, your brain makes the link.
Yeah, exactly. So everybody just assumes that the card text is fine, but because they have a more objective and technical look at the card, they're sometimes like, hey, you missed something. And I'm like, wow, I'm really impressed that... I mean, I know for a fact you can't speak German, but it's extremely useful that you can point that out to us.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always impressed with people's grasp of English, because I don't speak any other languages, and like my boss is German, and he's better English speaker than I am.
Oh, wow.
And it's like, oh, okay, so you're better at two things. There you go.
Well, that must be one of the reasons why he's your boss.
Yeah, it's probably a good reason, you know.
Now, don't want to get too much sidetracked, but just one additional note regarding this, because we just mentioned the Japanese. It's the one country in the world where they say that leadership, one of the qualities that a good leader has to have is a good command of the English language. Like all the other countries do not care that much because they think you can operate in your home country. But the Japanese say if you want to be a leader, a team leader or manager in your company, you have to speak good English.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's a fact for the day.
So something, fact for the day.
The more you know.
All right, let's get back to Yu-Gi-Oh! Both players are at the table already. We will take you there in just a second. One more thing I think we haven't mentioned yet is that Jake is running the Supply Squad version.
Yes.
Burning Abyss. Run us through this. There are basically 2 ways to build Burning Abyss.
So far, yeah. I think players are starting to branch out a little bit more. But when we first saw Burning Abyss, we had the Rank Up Magic version, which uses the rank 3 Dante to turn him into Constellar Pleiades.
Right. A very powerful rank 5.
Yes,
monster.
Incredibly disruptive, very good against the whole format.
Yes.
And then there was the other version that played Supply Squad, which is every time one of your monsters is destroyed, you draw a card, which you combine with your Burning Abyss effect, so you're getting multiple activations. You can trigger it in your own turn, trigger it in your opponent's turn.
So very different strategies. One is like more aggressive. You put something on the field and tell your opponent, try to handle this. If you can't,
yeah, I'm going to win.
And the other one is like, I want to drag out the game as long as possible because I'm just going to draw twice as many cards as you.
Yeah, it's just the sheer number of cards that Jake's going to be able to get to. He's going to go, okay, here's a combo. Can you deal with that? Okay, I'll draw some more cards. Here's another combo. Can you deal with that?
Yes.
So Jake, very interesting that, because the Supply Squad actually prevents you from special summoning your Burning Abyss monsters, which is why when you're actually taking away what can get you out of a slow start, I find it a bit of an iffy card, but Jake clearly has confidence in it.
Jake is one of the guys that can make it work. If there is a way, I have full confidence. Interesting enough, Sam said to me that he didn't know Jake. I thought that Jake was one of the, better known players in the UK, to be honest. But he has been on a hiatus for a short while.
Yeah, he's been missing in action for a while.
But now he's back. I don't want to say with a vengeance, but he definitely wants to go all the way again, like he used to do all the time.
Yeah, we've seen him in top 4, I believe. Toulouse, he made it all the way to top 4.
He has been successful before quite a few times. He also came very, very close a few times.
I think we're actually about to just get into the game. We'll talk a little bit about the history of these players a little bit later, but let's see what happens on the table right now where it matters.
Yeah. So as you can see, Jake on the left side, Sam on the right side. Both players from the UK, still not that familiar with each other. Or maybe just when they sat down, Sam was like, oh, yes, now I remember you.
It's like, oh, you're that guy. Yeah. How you doing?
Yeah, Jake is definitely one of the guys that makes a lasting impression. He is one of the nicest guys on the circuit.
Yeah, I've many conversations I've had with him. I've never walked away and gone, wow, that guy's rude. I don't do that very often, but it has happened on occasion where you've just had a conversation, someone walks off and you're like,
Yeah, you were right in, it was Toulouse where he advanced to the semi-finals.
Was that his highest placing finish?
Yes, which is surprising, but he, like we said, he came close quite a few times. He was just like short 1 or 2 wins of the top 8 or the top 16. And that makes all the difference for us because we focus on the results of the top 8 players per event.
Yeah. Oh, Jake's also a UK national champion, for anybody who's missing on that. He's done quite well consistently across the national championships.
Yes, he said that's the one event he played this year. And I guess that's the reason, because he's simply, he wants to defend the title or he wants to win again.
Okay, we're going to see the hands loading in just a second. Jake has drawn a compulsory evacuation. Card I can't quite make out. I'll tell you as it loads into my app.
Yes. Which just takes another second. That is one of the things we couldn't do without the help of our dedicated volunteers and judges, so thanks to them again. We were quite surprised, taken aback this morning when they said at 11, hey, we're going to start this tournament. We're like, whoa, really? We have 1,195 players, so just 5 players short of 1,200 players. And we were already about to get things underway at 11 in the morning, which is quite an accomplishment for the judges.
Yeah, last year I think we started about 12 or maybe a little bit later. Oh, here we go, Sam's hand's loading in. Under control, more prepared this year for the huge number. As we said, in the UK, at that point, it's the largest event we'd ever run. And in the UK's never broke 1,000 players before last year in London. So we're seeing construction, train signal, red, Madolchi ticket, breakthrough skull, Madolchi Magdalene, and creature swap. The Magdalene is very good for getting Sam through the early game and searching for his combos. Jake Quinsee drawing double effect Veiler. Phoenix Wind Blast. Still loading in. There's some Burning Abyss monsters in there. A compulsory evacuation device. And something else.
Right, so...
and Graph, Malabranch.
Yeah, those Burning Abyss monsters are somewhat hard to tell apart, in my opinion.
From this distance, they can be.
Yes.
This is actually a really good start. I think this is quite a good start for both players, to be honest. They're going to feel quite comfortable starting the game. So Jake's just going to set his 2 trap cards and pass, no other plays. Sam starting his turn.
And Jake immediately taking the card and...
Madolchi ticket, yes. Yeah. For you guys who want to have a quick look at what Jake is looking at, Madolchi ticket does lots of things for the Madolchi strategy. I can't actually remember the card text offhand.
Well, when a Madolchi card is returned from your side of the field or graveyard to your hand or main deck by a card effect, you can add 1 Madolchi monster from your deck to your hand. So that means that your engine keeps going forever.
Yeah, your eyesight's a lot better than me. I just saw squinting at the text, the small text on the screen.
Well, it does go on. If you control a face-up fairy-type Madolchi monster, you can special summon the monster from your deck in face-up attack position instead of adding it to your hand. You can only use the effect of Madolchi ticket once per turn. Well, otherwise that would be a little bit too strong, I guess.
Yeah, if you just like constant, here's guys, here's guys, here's guys. Yeah. Or here's cake, in this case.
Yeah, normally an invitation to a cake party is a lot more positive thing than in this particular case.
Right, I believe that's going into Sam is going into his end phase with a set breakthrough skill. Play comes back to Jake. Oh, okay. Hold on. Some yeah, Jake. Sorry, my app's going a little bit weird at the second. I was looking at that, not the screen.
So there's an attack. So we're still in Sam's turn.
Okay.
And Phoenix Wind Blast is supposed to return the breakthrough skill to the hand, which is to the deck. Interestingly enough, we just talked about this earlier. You want to commit cards to the field as lately as possible.
Yeah.
So would you agree that it was correct to place that card right away?
I don't believe playing that before your attack was a good call. There's just no reason to give Jake more information about what your possible list of follow-up plays are going to be. You're giving him that information before he has to react to your attack. So I feel like that's pretty careless on Sam's part, if I'm entirely honest. But, you know, it's still in the early game, so he might be able to get out of this. So yeah, the Graph is going to trigger and special summon a Scar Malabranch of the Burning Abyss. This card being possibly, a lot of people argue, the best monster in the whole Burning Abyss archetype, being able to search out level 3 fiends. We've seen it have getting the tour guides from the underworld.
Right. So Sam is comboing off in a way?
Yes, he's gone for Madolchi Mewfilia. This one here. Mewfeel. And a Hoot Cake.
Right, and now he can Exceed Summon.
X-Saber Invoker.
And Jake is immediately looking at the card again. That must be why one of the reasons why he wasn't a hiatus, I guess. He doesn't seem to be aware
He's
of
not having any of that. He may not be familiar with the combo, but he can definitely spot something bad happening in front of him.
He's like, even though I don't know exactly what's going on, I don't want that to happen. I know that much.
Or maybe he's just that familiar. He knew exactly where to compulse on use compulsory evacuation device.
Right. So also, this is an interesting shot because you can see the body language of both players with Jake a little bit tense, I would say, and Sam seems to be somewhat indifferent at the moment.
Yeah. We have got... Yeah, okay, so let's see what happens here. Yeah, Tour Guide's effect's going to activate, and now that he controls a non-burning Abyss monster, his Scarm is going to be destroyed by its own effect, and Jake will get to search his deck for a level 3 Fiend, which is going to be a Graph. Now, Graph's effect is negated, so even its ability to destroy itself is being negated, which is why this one isn't destroyed and Scram is.
That is
Scarm isn't.
one of the key plays in this deck, basically.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you first look at the deck list, you're like, why is he running Tour Guide? It doesn't make any sense, but, well, that is the reason.
Yeah, if you're kind of new to what's going on, then it's the little things like that you need to know how it works. Okay, so we're seeing Ghostwreck Alucard going to be trying to go after that breakthrough skill and forcing the activation. Ultimately, the same result. The breakthrough skill is going to be taken out. He
won't mind it not having an effect for the rest of the turn because that was the one thing he tried to accomplish.
He wanted to declare the Spell a Trap card. He wasn't going to commit to a big combo before he had a little bit more of a feel for what his opponent's doing from the looks of things. So I'll make the safe choice, Ghostwreck Alucard.
Yep. It's also an interesting card, Ghostwreck Alucard, because at first, when you read the card name, you think, oh, this is a Ghostwreck card, but it can go in every deck, basically.
Any deck that can make rank 3 is very powerful ability to destroy set cards, regardless if it's a monster or a Spell or Trap card, which makes it very good at harassing your opponent's defenses in the early or mid stages of the game when you're trying to make a window for your push.
Is it safe to assume that you should always run one copy in your extra deck?
If you can summon it, that's the key thing, because it is a rank 3 and...
Yeah, well, I mean, decks like Tellarknights don't like that, but there's this chance that the opponent is going to flip a Stygian Dirge or something.
Yeah, that's Rick Cherry found out, although it wouldn't have answered the Stygian Dirge. I believe if you can summon Ghostwreck Alucard, there's no reason to not play it, but if you're trying to shoehorn it in just in case your opponent has something, that would not be an ideal play. So another breakthrough skill going face down for Sam, giving him Madolchi Magellan, breakthrough skill, Madolchi Ticket in play. Jake drawing Sir, Malabranch of the Burning Abyss.
What is the reason? Why would I put a second breakthrough skill face down in this situation? Because
he's not actually put it face down. Sorry, my app has not been updated. I got to look at the screen before I look down. Right, let's. That's my bad, guys. Sorry about that.
All right. No, I thought that he was about. Did he set a second one?
No, he didn't. He didn't.
Okay, but no, but Alucard just lost another material, so it was a second breakthrough skill that he said.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. In which case, I was right.
Yeah, you were right.
So I should not second guess myself.
But what is the thinking here? Like, if there's an Alucard on the field, this is my only face down card. Why would I set it? Because I'm going to lose it regardless.
Yeah, that's a questionable play. I'm trying to think of the way Sam could have. Maybe he was hoping that maybe Jake would commit a Tour Guide before using Alucard, which is very. It's depending on your opponent to make a mistake in order for that to pay off. And I don't feel, unless that's your only way of winning the game, depending on your opponent to misplay.
That seems to be the one exception where this is an acceptable play, I would say. In this situation, I'm really not sure. So it seems like Jake is pulling further ahead.
Yeah, he's sending the Madolchi Ticket back to the top of the deck, which is really, really disruptive.
So Sam needs something, and all he's going to draw is the same card over and over again, while Jake is continuing to combo and put something on the field.
Yeah, because he discarded the Sir, he special summoned the Scarm back to the field. Scarm then gets destroyed by its own effect because Ghostwreck Alucard is not a Malabranch of the Burning Abyss. So during the end phase, he's going to get another search. He's going to take out the Magellan by battle. And he's leaving the ticket on top of his opponent's deck.
I think that happened a little bit too quickly, so...
I think it's all been explained maybe to Sam.
So maybe Sam was like, what just went what just went down? Because that was a little bit, rough. And Jake is now explaining what we just explained, the order of the effects and what he's targeting.
Okay, perhaps that's a quick judge query.
Yeah, it seems like the judges have to resolve this. Fortunately for them, there is no problem with the various languages players are speaking in this particular matchup, because both of them are from the UK. One of the unique things about European events where you regularly have a player who might only speak German or French or Italian going up against somebody else who's only speaking a different language, and then suddenly you you are lost in translation, literally.
Yeah, you can. There are some cards have really long card text, and just simple things like missing a once per turn or something like that when you know it, but you need to remember it by in the game. You can be caught off guard by the translation, so you've got to be really careful to just take your time to think these plays through. Obviously, I'm not saying take all the time in the world because that does eventually incur penalties, but knowing what's going on before you commit to a play is it's what you need to win these games.
Yes.
So we're seeing another tour guide with Graf.
This time, oh no, he's still not going for Dante.
Oh, it's a second a la carte. That's something that we don't see very often.
Yeah. And this time it's hitting the breakthrough. Well, the MST is getting shut down, but that allows Jake to just chain his breakthrough skill on Sam's Lonely Monster. So
yeah, it doesn't matter to him. I think Jake is okay with that exchange. He would have calculated the risk of the face down being a chainable card when he summoned the second a la carte, and he was quite comfortable with that exchange.
Yes. So well, we said this before that Jake is currently ahead.
Yeah.
It seems he's just pulling further ahead, isn't he?
Yep. And the ticket's going to be shuffled away because when the Magdalene's destroyed, she gets shuffled back into the deck, which then causes a ticket to disappear as well.
Yeah.
So Sam is going to really struggle to pull a combo together. His only in-card hand at this point is Creature Swap, because he has just summoned that Construction Train Signal Red, which is a card we haven't seen very much of. Actually, can he even do that? Yeah, yes, he can. Yeah, sorry, for a second I was wondering if he could only use it when his monster was being attacked. But
all right.
Jake setting Trap Stun. 2 Ghost Trick color cards. He's got a Tour Guide in hand, Effect Veil, and Vanity's Fiend. Jake is looking very strong here.
Yes. And what about his choices? Like you said, the second Ghost Trick Alucard in the extra deck that you don't see every day. That seems to be it definitely paid some dividends here.
Yeah, it's working for him, especially when there's a lot of spell and traps that are chainable. It may be a questionable going after those quick shots, but I suppose if you're forcing the activation of Vanity's Emptiness, if you manage to sneak the a la carte down, if you're forcing it, you're not losing a card in the to the initial activation. Okay, so we're going to see a Creature Swap.
Well, that doesn't seem too much of a problem for Jake. I mean, he's got 2 Alucards, so he just gives the one without material back to Sam. And this doesn't seem to put Sam ahead in any way, but well, he gets to attack over his own monster.
Yeah, it's not looking good for Sam. I mean, I don't know. He's got a Creature Swap in hand. He's now got a Ghost Trick color card. That's all he has. And Jake is sitting on 5 cards, including a Tour Guide to move forward with. Another Phoenix Wind Blast being drawn by Jake.
Yes, and he certainly doesn't mind that at this point.
Yeah, at this point, any turn he takes away from Sam, just by simply putting a set spell or trap back on top of the deck, he has got a window to press through the damage.
Yes. So while the life points at the moment indicate, well, they are painting a different picture, in fact, like we said, Jake is actually ahead, which is also one of the things to keep in mind when you're not used to playing at this high level of competition. Life points really don't matter that much.
Yeah, I mean, there are certain situations where you have to be aware of it. For example, if a Nightmare Shark is going to chomp the last 2,000 of yours, or Heartland Draco, or Can I Soul Charge, there are points where life points are relevant, but you don't lose the game until you've lost that last one. So
yes.
If you can use your life points for a better exchange of cards, sometimes it's very advantageous to do so.
Yes. So now Dante came down, the signature monster of the Burning Abyss archetype.
I'm going to bring him up because he is awesome.
The Traveler of the Burning Abyss.
Yeah, being able to increase his attack, send cards from your deck to the graveyard, and then switching to defense mode after he's run in, beat something up, and then switches to defense with a huge 2,500 defense. It's not easy to get over a Dante.
Yeah, basically it's a wall that makes it very hard for your opponent to overcome.
And Jake's going to make that even harder by turning. Well, he's turning into a Download Magician. The key thing here is that pretty much guarantees he's going to get his Dante's effect to get a monster back. Because if any way Download Magician leaves the field, the Dante's going to be sent to the graveyard.
Yes.
That's going to cause Dante to trigger. He's actually put 2 Downer Magicians onto the field. I believe Downer Magician pierces as well, so it makes even defense for Sam almost impossible here.
Yes, it does pierce. And well, but if it attacks or is attacked, you detach 1 material from it. So you're definitely going to see Dante getting sent to the graveyard sooner or later, like you said.
Okay, we've seen a creature swap being played by Sam.
Didn't have Jake another Phoenix Wing Wind Blast face down?
He does.
So if he just chains that, the effect of creature swap will fizzle. It will not resolve at all, which means Jake would not get to lose a monster. Is that correct?
The control 2 monsters have to switch in order for creature swap to happen. I think Jake is just asking.
Jake is just asking that same question.
He wants to be sure before he commits to the play.
Yes.
Or
but if he does that, I think this game is over, to be honest.
yeah, those 2 Downer Magicians, 2100 attack base, each with 2 materials.
Yeah, but also Sam would get to draw the same card again, and he wouldn't have anything else, right?
Yeah, so he's if Jake can't win in his next turn, he'll certainly win in the turn after. And
so that is a very big window of opportunity, and Jake, of course, makes that play. I mean, I think he hasn't made any questionable moves so far.
No, the cards have definitely been coming out his way, and he's maximizing the use. Both of these players, like I say, started with a reasonable hand as well, and Jake has just played his very well. Okay, no, Jake not using Phoenix Wind Blast.
Interesting. I mean, I'm trying to picture, is there something else that he might expect that might be following, but
Sam has no cards in hand. His only card is the Downer Magician.
yeah.
He's going to Phoenix Wind Blast the Exia and keep the monster. I don't know if that was the best play. Maybe Jake had a misunderstanding on how that would resolve.
Yeah, that he thought that creature swap would still get to resolve.
Yeah, but because of where Jake's positioning right here, it's not going to matter.
Yes, I mean, and yeah, the end result is pretty much the same. And now they're doing the maths, and Sam sees that is more than enough damage to seal the deal in the first game.
In true comic book fashion, pow. That's just what happened there.
So maybe he did prefer to lose his Downer Magician for just a second because he knew that he could then trigger in this way and get Dante back.
Yeah, he could put lethal this turn instead of waiting till next turn.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact attacks of the Downer Magicians. They gained 200 for each material. He had 2 with 2 materials, so they were each 2,500. So yeah, he didn't actually have game until that happened. So Jake, understanding his opportunity most likely, and then choosing to win this turn instead of
right. When in doubt, trust that the player knows the game better than us.
Yeah, otherwise I'd be sat over there winning all the prizes. So should we talk about some of the side deck cards?
Yes, that would be something to talk about here. Let's start with Sam.
Sam has a Mirror of Oaths, which could potentially come in against, it will most likely come in, and a monster special summon from the extra deck.
He's got a
activates an effect, you destroy it and draw a card, and negate it, I believe.
Well, he's got a Prohibition. That's quite an interesting choice. I would possibly call Tour Guide, to be honest, here.
Yeah, stopping your opponent from getting those key combos. Very important. If you're very familiar with the opponent's strategy, Prohibition can be really, really difficult.
Yes.
Royal Decree almost certainly should be considered here.
And, well, Shadow Imprisoning Mirror definitely against the Burning Abyss monsters, all of which are dark monsters.
Yeah, there's Chain Disappearance, which will be able to take away all the Tour Guides when they're summoned. That's very, very strong. Can take out a Dante, but you won't get to go into the extra deck. I know there was a recent confusion about that, but no, you do not get to loot the Dantes out of the extra deck with a Chain Disappearance.
Right. King Tiger Wang Hu is also quite interesting.
That's a very off-the-wall choice, because any monster summoned with less than
1,500?
Is it 1,500 or 1,400?
Yeah. I think it's 1/4.
Yeah, just get destroyed.
It is 1/4, yes.
So, as long as that's face up, Jake only plays 2 main deck monsters that have more than 1,400 attack, I believe. Yeah, he's got Bloodluster Soldier, Envoy at the beginning, and Vanity's Fiend. All of his other monsters will just be destroyed as soon as they're summoned against that King Tiger.
We haven't seen King Tiger Wang Hu a single time in Madrid, have we?
No, we haven't. We saw a lot in Battle Pack 1 when you'd go King Tiger, Burden of the Mighty. Okay, I've got this for the sealed format. But yeah, I've not seen King Tiger being side decked prior to this.
Yeah. Well, it definitely seems like a good choice as well. On the other hand, we got Jake, who's got a non-fusion area. That definitely sounds like a card against Shadows.
Yes.
Not so much against Madolche.
No, you don't see too many fusion cards coming out of Madolche.
Then he's got a Majesty's Fiend.
Majesty's Fiend could be very powerful for him here against this matchup, stopping his opponent using any of his Madolche effects. That could work out for him.
No. He's got the Monarch Stormforth.
Yep, that if he brings in the Majesty's Fiend, he's most likely to bring in the Monarch Stormforth, so he has more material, more monsters he can actually tribute summon.
Yeah, it's a card. It's one of the recently released cards that part of the legacy content that tries to support an existing older archetype. In this case, like you said, the Monarchs. I mean, name also gives it away.
Name implies. Yeah.
Yes. So there are some cards in the newer sets that try to make an older archetype viable. I find these some of the most interesting cards of the sets, to be honest.
Sometimes they catch on. For example, we did see quite a bit of cool stuff happening when Harpies got some of their support.
Speaking of Madolche, Angeli was one of these cards.
Yeah, Angeli, Primal Origin. She sort of fixed a lot of things that the problems the Madolche deck had, and is one of my colleague Mike Hooton's favorite cards. You can probably guess which is his favorite card. It is a Madolche card.
I would just guess it's Tiramisu.
It's Hoot Cake.
Oh, okay.
It's Hooton.
Why is everybody so obsessed with Hoot Cake? I don't get it.
I don't know. Kevin Tewart, whenever I asked him about it when we were originally working on the set, he just started giggling and said Hoot Cake. It's just, what a name.
Okay.
And it was just a really weird thing when you're having a conversation with Kevin.
Well, other cards that Jake could set into, he's got one copy of Mystical Space Typhoon, of course, one copy of Raigeki in the side deck. That's also interesting.
Raigeki's good for cleaning up. This matchup where the Madolche monsters are likely to flood the field, Raigeki could clean up. He has to be aware of the ticket and the chateau before he does that.
Yes.
But he could create a window with that.
We got a Mobius, the Frost Monarch, 2 copies of Malevolent, 2 copies of Pulling the Rug, and 2 copies of Stygian Dirge.
The Stygian Dirge could actually be really strong in this match because it would prevent Sam from summoning to Tamira Mizzou by lowering the levels of all the Madolche monsters. So that's a possibility. It would cause so many problems for Sam that he wouldn't be able to get his key combo off. So
it definitely sounds like Jake has got a lot of options. Well, both players have, but it's hard to tell who's being favored in the second game, is it?
Well, Jake's hand is a bit slow. He's got double supply squad, 1 Majesty's Fiend, the Monarch Stormforth, and Malevolent Catastrophe, versus Sam Hill's. Okay. Madolche Hootcake, Madolche Mufule, Madolche Angeli, Madolche Magdalene, and King Tiger Wang Fu.
It's a very monster-heavy hand.
It's very combo-centric as well. He's going to start with King Tiger Wangu to prevent Jake from starting. Jake is just going to go Monarch Stormforth and summon Majesty's Fiend and attack. And all of a sudden, this combo-heavy hand for Sam can't do anything because Majesty's Fiend stops monster effects being activated. Oh, this is brutal.
Ooh.
It's another monster draw and another card that does nothing. He is playing with normal monsters.
You can see Sam shaking his hand, and he's just looking at the Majesty's Fiend, and he's like, oh my god, how am I going to get rid of this ever?
Yeah, he's not going to be able to trigger any of his effects. He's limited to playing 1 normal summon per turn.
Yeah.
And Majesty's Fiend is going to make sure that none of the effects activate. So Sam's starting from what looked like a very unready to combo hand, just getting blown out by Jake's what appeared to be a really slow start.
Yes. But he did just draw into the Monarch Stormforth, or was that among his...
that was among his opening 5.
Okay.
He could just ride that. At this moment, he might just be able to ride the Majesty's Fiend all the way to victory. Oh, there's an answer. It's Dark Hole.
One of the few. And Sam immediately plays it. He knows that he needs that one.
Yeah. Now, how does he use this window that he's created?
Yeah, it seems like Angeli is coming down, is it?
Yep, that's Madolche Angeli. I'll just pull up Angeli for you guys. The Madolche combo is one after you've played it a few times, you'll remember it, but when you're sitting across from it, it's a really awkward long stream of plays that ends up with a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's basically the same combo over and over again. So,
yeah, we're going to see Hoot Cake being summoned, which is then going to activate and get something else. Jake actually has no response to any of these plays.
So suddenly, Sam flipped the table, and he's now in a very commanding position. He's sitting in the driver's seat.
Yes, he is definitely. We'll see where this goes. That dark hole being so clutch, but then Jake's hand was very, very slow at the start. We were concerned how he was going to start the game, and he starts off with the Monarch Storm 4 for Majesty's Fiend, which was
as good as it gets.
Yeah, it's as good as it was going to get against his opponent's hand, but Jake doesn't know that.
Right. So, in Jelly, basically the most important effect is you can tribute it, and then you can special summon a Madolche monster from your deck. You get to shuffle it into your deck during the end phase, but most of the time it's not going to hang around for that long.
And here we're going to see Madolche Messengalato, which allows Sam to search for a spell or trap card, a Madolche spell or trap card when it's summoned by the effect of a Madolche card. And he added Madolche Ticket to his hand.
So yes, suddenly Sam really stepping on the gas.
Yep, here comes Madolche.
The ticket.
The ticket.
And now Jake is nervously shuffling his hand.
He's probably perhaps trying to bait his opponent believing he has a response to any of this.
Yes. Well, his hand, again, is 2 copies of Supply Squad, a Möbius the Frost Monarch, and a Sir Malebranche of the Burning Abyss. And nothing will get him out of that situation, does it?
The Sir doesn't... nothing actually deals with the huge number of cards that's coming down for Sam. Sam might be running away with this game, but Jake still is... should still get a draw phase unless Sam has figured out Malevolent Catastrophe on the attack to take away the ticket.
Well, that's something.
That's helpful. And it also frees up his spell and trap zone so that Jake can special summon the Seer, then tribute for the Möbius.
Yes.
So him not flopping down those double supply squads early is actually worked out quite well for Jake, because a lot of players would have gone, oh, Vanity's Fiend, play my supply squad for when he does finally answer my Fiend to draw cards. But this way, actually him not doing that is giving him a play.
He can just like attack from different directions this way. Whereas otherwise he would be focusing on that one play.
Yeah. We're going to see Levier the Sea Dragon bring back Madolche Angeli. And turn being closed with Madolche to Maria Mizzou.
Yes, and it seems like most of you guys have been voting for Sam in this one. I'm very happy with his deck choice, it seems. Which is interesting, because Jake seemed to be the slightly better known player going into this match.
At least from our end.
Yeah.
Perhaps Sam has a cult following across the UK, where people are wearing shirts with Sam's face on it, just saying Team Sam.
Yeah. Right. So there is the tour guide opening up, well, quite some more opportunities for Jake, because we said he doesn't have that many options. Now he does have a lot of options.
Yeah, and there's no spells or traps for Sam. So Jake is going to be able to create this opening. He has got a double supply squad as well. Depending on how he decides he wants to play this, Jake now looking really good. This is a real back and forth fight.
Yeah, but Jake still nervously shuffling his hand. Now he goes for the Exceed Summon after going through all the options.
Levier the Sea Dragon, here we go. He's doing this so he can detach the graph, special summon a monster, and it will be destroyed by its own effect, and then both supply squads will trigger, drawing Jake 2 cards, and he gets the Scarm, which is going to then trigger in the end phase and get him a search. So all of a sudden, there's so many cards heading Jake's way.
Yes.
So and he's got a 2500 attack monster to take out either the Levier or the Maria Mizzou. I'm pretty sure he's going to be, yeah.
And he's got a Vanity's Emptiness. He drew into that one. Also one of the format defining cards. We said the strategy to winning the game very often involves Vanity's Emptiness. First you assemble your field, put a strong monster on the field, attack with it, and then you flip Vanity's Emptiness to make sure that your opponent cannot special summon any monsters. Well, you can't special summon any monsters, but since you are in such a commanding position, most of the time you simply won't mind.
Yeah, if your opponent can't answer, your opponent is then in a position where they have to answer your field, not the other way around. And if they don't deal with it, you win. Okay, so we're going to see a Hoot Cake, and that's going to prompt Jake to flip the Vanity's Emptiness, just leaving Sam high and dry here.
Yes.
Oh, Sam drawing into one of his side deck cards, Mirror of Oaths. When your opponent special summons a monster from the main deck, destroy the monster, and if you do, draw a card. I actually thought it negated, but when I originally thought of this card, I'm not convinced now that it's that good a card against Burning Abyss.
Yes.
Because you just destroy them and then they trigger. I mean, you stop the tour guide play, like you cause a delay and you get a card out of it, but...
we said he had so many options. I mean, it seemed like other cards were a viable choice for this match. Not quite sure if that is the best one.
Okay, Jake just electing to attack with his dragon. He's not using the effect again, because he'll lose his ability to direct attack if he does so. And then Jake committing a trap stun to the board, to the field. So yeah, we're seeing him face down Phoenix Wind Blast and a trap stun face down on Jake's side. Jake has just hit the nitro boost and has ran away with this. We saw him go from a
at first we're like,
cards.
that's a really slow hand, and then suddenly he's got the Majesty's Fiend, and we're like, oh, okay, that puts him ahead.
Yeah, he didn't get comboed out in the early stages against Sam,
and now the supply squad is working overtime for him. And well, Sam has to come up with something.
Without the use of his special summon, he's struggling. 2,500 attack points is still quite a lot.
Yes. Normally you just assume, well, I can just exceed summon something that deals with it, and there are more than enough options in your extra deck. But if you have to overcome it in battle, oh, that's a Blackluster Soldier from the top, isn't it?
Yes, it is. There is a trap stun for Jake, so Jake could flip the trap stun to turn off his Vanity's Emptiness for a turn and lock out Sam.
That happens, yes, and now Sam has to watch what happens.
Yeah, because Vanity's Emptiness won't be destroyed by its own effect now, and it will activate again after Jake's had a chance to do a bunch of special summoning.
That is a very nice combo. You still get to keep your Vanity's Emptiness, but for one turn, you got that very big window of opportunity.
Yeah, you choose to turn it off, and then you get to do all of your crazy stuff again. That's very nicely played.
Also, your opponent, most of the time, he doesn't see that coming. He's like, well, he might get rid of his own Vanity's Emptiness, but if he does, I can use my trap cards to defend myself. In this case, you don't have anything. And that causes the handshake. Very, very commanding victory from Jake Quinsee, coming back to the game, and we can tell he hasn't forgotten how to play the game.
Oh yeah, he's definitely been doing his reading. He played that extremely well. From that opening, it was a bit iffy, because I thought that Sam had a good window to combo off, and he decided to go for the King Tiger Wang Hu.
Yes.
Start to say, okay, I'm going to stop you playing. Gets completely blown out by the Monarch Storm 4th, of which Jake only has the one copy in his side deck.
So he drew into the one copy. Sometimes that's all it takes.
Yeah, well, that I'm sure a lot of people are going to say that about super polarization this weekend. That one super polarization.
That one copy, yes. But that is why you're playing it.
Yes, because it does stuff like that.
And that is why we all love the game. Yu-Gi-Oh! It's fast, fun, and exciting, because one card that you can draw from the top can make all the difference.
Well, a Dark Hole.
Yes.
When Sam then started to swing the game back in his favor, that Dark Hole cleared out what was pretty much a hand of nothing.
But do you think that not activating the supply squads early on was the right move?
Yeah, I mean, for Jake to be able to hold that back, if his opponent would have comboed off and make a Tamiya Mizzou, he would have shuffled both. He could have shuffled both of those supply squads away, and then Jake risked drawing them again into a field that's been established by Sam. So him holding back to when he could get the use out of it protects it from Mystical Space Typhoon, hides the information from his opponent, and prevents his opponent from doing something.
Yes.
And he can time exactly when he's going to get the most benefit, which was just then.
So it definitely seemed like he was he knew exactly what he had to do in that matchup.
Yes.
And that worked out well for him. Well, going into the other rounds, we have basically talked about all the cards in his main deck and in his side deck. It seems like he came well prepared for this.
Yeah, his extra deck also being a little bit interested. He's gone for Free Dante. I know quite a few people discuss going down to 2. Free Downward Magician.
And he's very convinced of the use of that card.
Yeah, he's got 2 Ghost Recala cards.
A Tempo.
Yeah, Tempo.
Cushion Chin.
Number 47, Nightmare Shark. Number 49, Fortune, which can be a good buy some time. Leviathan Dragon, Acid Golem, probably against skill drain variants, or just to press the last bit of damage in.
Yes.
Giga Brilliant and Tri-Edge Levier. I love this card, Tri-Edge Levier, because it does a whole bunch of things. that catches your opponent off guard. It's an effect you can use in the damage step because it reduces your opponent's monster's attack by 800 monsters. It destroys, it banishes. It's a triple material monster, so you do end up in situations where you end up with 3 Burning Abyss, and if you XE summon anything that's not Dante, your other one blows itself up and you just lose the card. But Triage Levier lets you get around that.
Gives you an alternative play, and a pretty strong alternative play at that.
Yeah, and in some cases it can just be absolutely brutal.
Yes. We also got the first results in from the deck check team. They looked at roughly 100 of the deck lists, so this is not an exact count. It's not what the whole field will look like.
It was the fastest way we could get a statistic to you.
But roughly we will have like 30 to 35%, it seems, should all players, which is a little bit down from Madrid if I remember correctly, but I might be mistaken. And in hot pursuit is Burning Abyss. And the next 2 most popular decks are Tellarknights and Lightsworn.
Yeah, both still very, very strong decks. The Lightsworn deck I particularly like, there's lots of different ways you can build it. You can build it as my normal Summons Amazing deck. I've actually been playing this one in the office using the Lightsworn Sanctuary and Realm of Light, the field spell that just gains counters. When you eventually just summon guys that your opponent, if they try and destroy them, you just remove counters, and you're gaining 100 attack for each card on it. If your normal summon's bigger than their construct, they should all place construct, they're struggling. And their dragon doesn't answer either of these cards. So lots of different ways you can build Lightsworn.
Yeah. But in Madrid, we didn't really have it on the radar. And quite a few people convinced us that it's still a viable contender. Yeah,
well, Marcel did come runner-up in European Championships in Amsterdam, taking the Dragon Ruler variant all the way through. And not many things have changed from that. I mean, Soul Charge has gone down to limited, but I'm trying to think of other cards that would have affected his strategy.
I mean, with so many graveyard effects that you get to trigger, it doesn't matter that much if you don't hit your Soul Charge.
Yeah,
there's enough fun stuff you can do with the deck.
Fun for you, not fun for your opponent.
Other decks that seem to be showing up in higher numbers, wait for it. One of them is Evil Swarm, a very disruptive strategy, and one of the so-called anti-decks, where your strategy is stopping your opponent's strategy going off. Yeah,
it's really interesting as well, the interactions it has, because it doesn't do much against Burning Abyss, except for Infestation. Is a very, very powerful quick play spell, which turns off all of your opponent's things when Wind Blast, Karma Cuts, or other nasty trap cards you don't want to have to deal with. And against Shadows, they can't play their fusion spell. So if you make Evil Swarm Ophion, you've got a really, really big monster your opponent can't play Shadow Fusion to get out of. That's huge. That can be huge in that matchup.
Yeah. I can tell you're excited about this one, but wait for the next one. It's Yang Xing. Finally.
Yes, somebody's playing Yang Xing.
I remember you in Madrid being like, I want to see Yang Xing. It's one of the coolest new decks.
Yeah.
And now it's happening.
Somebody's playing it. We'll see how they get on. But
no, quite a few people have been playing it. Yeah, I said something like 3% of the field, 5% of the field.
You know, that's better than 0.
Better than being a part of the other deck group.
Yeah, whenever there's so few of them, it turns into the other category.
It's just a very big bowl, and rather than fruit, there's different deck archetypes in there.
Yeah, I was playing.
So run us through Yang Xing. Why is it a good contender in this metagame?
Difficult to say why it might be a better choice over the other decks, but Yang Xing do get to play all of the best synchro monsters and give them bonus effects, which is incredibly powerful. If they can resolve a Baxi, synchro monster, you can shuffle away all of your opponent's cards.
Yes.
Timing is critical with that deck. You have to know exactly when to commit to the synchro summon. All of your monsters are going to be replacing themselves as long as your opponent is attacking or you're getting destroyed. Smart opponents might then stop attacking, but then if your opponent's not making use of their battle phases, you just take your own time as well.
Yeah.
A card I've been playing, I can't say enough good things about, is the Eye of Truth. Now, for many of you, you'll have to search this up. It's a very, very old card. It originally came out in Pharaoh's Servant.
Yes. It sounds like one of these old Egyptian-themed cards.
Yeah. It just has a very simple effect.
You get to see the cards in your opponent's hand?
Yes, your opponent has to play with their hand reveal.
Remember the card.
And it's a continuous trap. Each turn, your opponent gains 1,000 life points if they have a spell card in their hand. Key things with this is, if you remember Trap Dust Shoot, Trap Dust Shoot was really obnoxious for taking out one of your options from your hand and giving information. So you knew what your opponent could do. Turn 1, flip up Trap Dust Shoot, take away an option, memorize the other cards, proceed to win duel. This is one of the reasons it led to be a forbidden card. Eye of Truth still gives you the information, but it stays there, and you've got a couple of what could be hidden powers to the card if you've not really thought about it. Because your opponent has to play with their hand revealed, they can't activate costs where they have to reveal cards from their hand because their hand's already revealed. So spellbooks can't actually reveal spellbooks if they're already revealed to you. So
that's a very technical knowledge that we need there to get this. I wasn't aware of that, and I've been judging for a while.
Yeah, it's just one of these things because you can't. My hand's already revealed. I can't pay the cost.
But what other decks are affected by that?
I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. It'll come to me.
Okay. We're going to revisit it later.
Yeah. Also, because your opponent has to play with their hand revealed at all times, you can see exactly where they're setting all their spells and traps. So you're not blind Mystical Space Typhooning. You can see when your opponent has a Vanity's Emptiness. You can see if they have the Solemn Warning.
How much of a problem is 1,000 life points per turn?
Based on how happy people are to put Upstart Goblins in their deck, and that's only if your opponent has a spell card they're not playing.
Yeah.
And if they're not playing the spell card, they're gaining 1,000 life points, but they're just leaving themselves down a card, and you're still getting the information each draw phase.
Yeah.
More information, and you can, if you really want, you can play Eye of Truth, free Upstart Goblins, and then go hope for escape. if your opponent has like, oh, you're on like 12-5, I'm gonna beat you eventually, but right now I'm gonna draw 3 cards. And I also know everything you can respond to. I know you've got the Max C, so I'm not going to commit to this. I know you have the Effect Veiler, so I'm going to wait until I can bait that out.
I mean, all of these hand traps and everything are just so much worse when your opponent knows for a fact that you are holding on to them.
Yeah, and if your opponent does destroy the card, if you've just memorized the cards, you still have that information. So your opponent destroying it immediately prevents you getting future information, but you've already taken something from that.
All right. Well, that is some inside strategy right from the Konami office.
Yeah, well, there you go. I got the idea from the app because I realized how easy it was to predict what everyone was going to do when you could see the cards. You can actually do this in the game. Just play the Eye of Truth.
Right. Are there any other age-old cards that we should be aware of?
Seal of the Ancients didn't work out quite as well, where it likes to look at all your opponent's face-down cards. So I thought, oh, I'll go second and just look at all their cards. Didn't work out so well, but I'm still working on it. I'm still going through the box of really old stuff to see what's cool.
That must be a fun job, just looking at old cards and seeing what they can do.
Yeah, when you have time to have a look through there. I mean, some of them have a lot of old text, and it gets really complicated to figure out, oh, actually, how does this really work?
Yeah.
Because I think the Eye of Truth doesn't say revealed, it just says they play with their hand revealed, but it is actually...
It reminds me that one player in competition today is playing magical hats.
Yeah, we got asked a really weird question.
Yeah, it was, are the monsters that are getting searched out from the deck, are they going to get set, or are they going to get special summoned face down? And the card effect text says set?
Yeah, it says set two cards from your deck.
Yeah.
Our technical guy has written a very, very long letter.
No, it's just informing us so we can inform you that next up is going to be an interview with the winner of YCS Madrid, Joshua Schmidt. Player, most of you will say, oh, I know everything about him because he's been on the circuit for quite a while. He's been at the top level of competition for quite a while. But Madrid has been his breakout event because it was the first time that he won something. And we're talking to him to see how he feels about that, what else happened and changed after Madrid, and how he goes into this weekend's tournament and how he feels about it. So that is up next for you. We'll be back later again with more live featuring of another match. And as always, if you have any suggestions, just let us know. Your friend from Australia, for example, got featured on the written coverage, if I'm not all too mistaken, which you can also check out on the official Konami page.
Okay, guys, we'll see you soon.
This duel isn't over by a long shot. I activate the trap. Chaos Return. This card stops your attack. I see. I discard 1 card and activate a spell card from the graveyard! I choose to activate Rank Up Magic Variance Force. And now I overlay Ranked 2 Dark Mist. With this one monster, I rebuild the overlay network! Go, Chaos Xyz Evolution! Appear! Chaos number 96!